I build these as a casual music chat, and so we're just gonna chat and catch up. But I always like to start by having you introduce yourself so that people know something about you and how you identify yourself, and then we'll just go back from there.
Oh man, you're asking. Well, I mean, what can I say? You and I go back a long ways, but I go way back before that. So,
Tell us. We're here
well,
for it.
basically, like everybody else, grew up in I grew up in the Hudson Valley, and my musical journey started there, uh, very close to Woodstock, and um, um, the playground, the musical playground's always been rich here. You know, back in the late '60s, there's a lot of great musicians. Always has been, still is, and even before I even realized what was happening in Woodstock, there's a lot of musicians that I connected with. Like in my first band that I could say sort of was started launching my career was a group called the Silver Bike, and we signed to Bang Records, and we had the same producer that Van had,
Hmm.
and he signed us, and we cut a couple of records for them, and I met Van in passing then, and we had the same engineer that did Brown Eyed Girl and all that stuff.
And just for those listening,
It was like '67.
you're
I'm talking
referring
about '60.
to Van Morrison, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
so that's where I launched my career. But before that, while I was signed to Bang Records, that kind of got me into the studio scene in Manhattan. I did a bunch of things with Mort Schumann for some acts that he produced. Mort Schumann's. Have you ever heard of Mort Schumann?
no, tell me more.
Mort was he worked with Van, he worked with Jacques Brel. He's like a heavy duty, legit kind of producer who went into rock. I can't offhand, I can't remember some of the, he worked with major acts. So I started doing sessions for him. He got me into working with John Cale from
Oh, nice.
Velvet Underground. I had a bunch of things. More work with the Box Tops as well.
Oh,
So
great.
that launched my career as far as session work. And then that band broke up. I went and started my own bands, power trios in the area and in the Woodstock area. I mean, the Silver Bike emanated from the Mid Hudson Valley area. So that was always been my kind of base of operations. So that's when I started working in going to start my um, basically working with a van in Woodstock. He had just moved from Boston to Woodstock after Bang Records kind of ran him out of town
So can you just
because
go? You're gonna have to explain to us what Bang Records is, number one, and
oh,
number
Bang
two.
Records is had a ton of acts. Um, Van was signed to Bang Records by the same producer that signed us, but Mort Schumann produced all of Van's early stuff. Mort brought, I'm sorry, not Bert Burns brought Van from the UK, signed him up, brought him to the States, and produced all the stuff. Here Comes the Night, Brown Eyed Girl, which was his biggest record on Bang. Um, he had a bunch of hits, lesser hits, but brought him over, signed him up, and Van was really unhappy with him. He claims he never received any money. I mean, I'm sure he received his writer's share, but publishing share got nothing. And he refused to cooperate with him uh, after Brown Eyed Girl. Uh, some other acts on Bang uh, um, was an acronym for Burns, Ahmet, Nushi, and um, I can't remember the guy started Atlantic Records um, with Ahmet. Do you remember?
Ahmed Erdogan and who would the G be?
It was
Um,
Ahmet, and it'll come to me later. But that's who Bang Records was, and they say it was kind of also bankrolled by the mafia,
okay.
Jewish and Italian mafia,
Hmm.
and they weren't happy with Van, and basically Van was contentious. He said, "I'm not going to do anymore," and they literally ran him out of town.
And that was the town of Boston. So he's leaving from
Yeah,
Boston
that's he
to
left New
Woodstock.
York City, went to
Oh,
Boston, landed in uh, um, uh, Peter Wolf's couch in his house
who's
it,
Peter Wolf?
from Jay
Yeah,
Giles,
yeah, 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 yeah.
the singer. So landed on his couch and stayed in Boston for a while.